Which one do you want to talk about first?
Starbucks.
Oh, we gotta talk about the Starbucks because that was a highlight.
It was good times.
It was really good
Big
time.
Starbucks. That's
To my right, about 15 feet away, his shoulders were every bit of 4 foot wide. When I turned my headlamp, I turned my headlamp on as I turned, and as I turned it,
Way to go, Pax! We got our own show. Hey! Oh yeah! Hey, welcome to the Animal Show. We can do whatever we want.
Well, that's right, Jim. We're about to get down and crazy on the Animal Podcast.
We are not alone in this world. We are being watched. Join me on Animal Paranormal Live.
Hey, this is the ghost host Sophia Temprelli, and you are watching the Animal Podcast Show.
Hey, welcome on the Animal Podcast Show. My name is AKA The Animal, and welcome to today's special. I got an amazing guest here, the Vogel Brothers. They'll be joining me here in a bit, but I just want to say, please follow me on YouTube at Animal Paranormal Live, or you can catch me anywhere on iHeartRadio, iTunes, StreamYard, anywhere you can find me. But we're going to have a fun show today with the Vogel Brothers. We're going to be talking about Bigfoot today, so you don't want to miss out. We're going to have a lot of fun and, see what's going on. But before I let the Vogel Brothers on, I did have a little fun with Banter and Wojo a little bit ago, having a little fun about Bigfoot and stuff like that. So, yeah, don't miss out those guys. Those guys are amazing guys. I mean, they are genuine people, and I talk to them all the time, and you definitely want to chill with them and listen to their show. Go check them out. So yeah, you'll really love them, I promise. But anyways, we're gonna let on the Vogel Brothers here. So yeah, stay tuned here. We're gonna have some fun. What's up, guys? How's it going?
Hey, how we doing, guys?
Good, man. It's
Cool.
Finally, man. The time is now. Finally, we've been waiting for weeks for this.
Yes.
For weeks.
True.
Weeks. Hey, Damien. Hey, Wojo is on.
There he is.
See you guys. Thank you guys. Awesome, guys. Yeah. Damien Vogel, they are huggers. I do want to let you know they are big.
Yeah, just move on.
Don't let them fool you.
Just move on.
So how's it going, guys? How's it been? I know we talked a lot actually, behind stage, but tell me a little bit about you guys, how you guys started this whole experience, this journey, and everything that you guys are doing right now. How that all started.
It started back in 1976 when something with large feet went through our backyard, and we grew up in West Springfield. We bordered the town of Agawam, and the Westfield River went in between us. It was we went to see a movie called Sasquatch the Legend, Bigfoot.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of that.
I probably was in November because it was snowing, or early December, it was snowing. Came back, and then all of a sudden one day we woke up and there's these ginormous foot tracks in our backyard.
Wow.
The police, the media, the newspaper, everybody that was involved in, a story that was there.
They had investigators come out from California.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's an actual article out there, and it's Robinson State Park in Agawam, Mass.
Yeah.
And it did. It came. We had an apple orchard with 28 apple trees and cherry tree, and so we had property. We had space between our yard and the railroad tracks, and it went down into a ravine and followed the stream back across the railroad tracks and across the river and into Robinson State Park. But of course, we were just kids.
Yeah.
Well, we were told to take them down to the river, but no further. So they walked across and went over, but there were tracks all over the place. And
so here we are, kids, taking these investigators from doing our job today, and we're taking them through. And these guys walked quite a bit. It was a couple of miles, and then they had to go through Robinson State Park, cross the river, and then get out and do their own thing. So it was quite an effort through the snow. And so anyways, long story is, we got this big to-do in our backyard, and that was a big to-do.
Back then, because that wasn't on the East Coast. That was all the West Coast thing.
Yeah.
Bigfoot, you got to be kidding me.
Right.
But there it was, right in our backyard,
Yeah, especially as kids, you're like, what the heck is this, man?
Yeah, we were like, what?
And the news are there and the TV is there.
You think it's banter out there, like, when it's Harry back or something like that.
We love you, banter. Right?
That's right.
Yeah. So that was our introduction really to Bigfoot. That whole story ended up turning out to be a hoax. It was a kid that went and saw that movie too, I guess, and he was pulling a prank on his neighborhood, and it just went a little too far. And
he actually did it to play around with the kids in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden somebody saw it and they just kind of went freaked out and took it way, way too far. And the kid was like afraid to say anything.
Wow.
But the police officer at the time that was given that job became a detective. And while he was a detective, he actually figured it out.
Yeah. The kid ended up turning himself in.
It was pretty cool. It's a cool story all the way around. Not many people start out their Bigfooting career with a hoax.
No.
I mean, normally that doesn't happen. It did to us.
Especially as kids, people are like,
at 12 and 14, what the hell is a hoax?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. You don't know. It's like,
shut up, dude.
You're like, we're kids. We don't know what that is.
Yeah. So that was our kind of introduction, but
that was the first step into that world.
Yeah.
But it really didn't start until 2013 when Tim and I were up on a canoe trip. We had an outdoor education business, Tacoma Mountain Outdoors, for 20 plus years. So we took people all over the place, hiking, camping,
canoeing, climbing, wilderness trips.
Yeah, the whole 9 yards.
It was an adventure education.
So we spent the entire summer out in the Adirondacks, and we said, hey, well, let's take a vacation. When school starts, the Adirondacks empties out. So you basically have it to yourself, So we're out there and we're doing the same thing that we normally do with groups of people, but we're out there enjoying ourselves. We're the only ones out there, and we paddled out. We were on Long Pond. We paddled up, I don't know, a good mile and a half. We set up camp on the left-hand side of the lake. It was one spot up on the hill, and we went in there. We set up, and then we came back down, and we said, "Hey, well, let's go fishing. We'll get some dinner."
Yeah.
So we get in the canoe, and off we go. We're Tim's paddling. I'm fishing. I'm having the greatest day of bass catching of my life. It's like every second cast on a fly rod, and they're catching them 5 pounds. It was nuts.
That's
so
awesome.
I just told Tim to keep paddling, and I'll catch dinner. So we kind of floated back, I don't know, about a quarter of a mile, and there was an inlet.
Oh wow!
So we started to paddle into the inlet, and Tim turned around and he says, "I'm going to throw up over this beaver dam." And I'll let him continue that one.
Again, we were fly fishing, so I'm fly fishing over the top of this beaver pond, and it's kind of bow shaped, and then the stream tapers, kind of narrow out back. So it's a bow shape here, and I'm fishing into it. And as soon as I catch a fish,
there's actually a pond back there called Pink Pond.
Oh
and
wow!
We were actually going to try to go there. but you can't because it was just, it's like a boreal forest. You could, I mean, if you went through there, you'd have to hack your way through it. That's how tight it was. So that's why we stopped where we were.
Wow.
And that's when he started fishing above the dam.
Once I caught this fish, these two trees started shaking like they were in a snow globe, and it was just incredible. I mean, these are regular trees, and they were about 8 feet apart, and they were both shaking. The only two trees in the whole forest that were shaking like this, like they were in a snow globe.
Yeah, and they had to be 6 to 8 inches in diameter.
Wow.
They were huge.
They were all that.
They were huge. You couldn't put your hands around it. There's just no way.
So, as this thing is shaking, we're what the hell is going on? And then all of a sudden, this roaring starts. This roaring, screaming, yelling kind of thing going on. It's super, super loud. So the trees are shaking. This roaring is coming off from these trees. We don't know what the hell this thing is. We're not thinking Bigfoot. I have no idea.
That
It could be anything. It could be a bear. Yeah.
From your mind,
we just knew that there was something really bizarre happening over there,
and it
we
was
should get
big.
the hell out. So we started paddling backwards.
It was roaring and yelling and screaming so loud that you, like Tim would describe it, it's like going to a Ted Nugent concert and standing in front of the speaker. That's the way it was.
Wow.
And it was like that the entire time. The entire time we were paddling out.
Man,
and this thing, it didn't stop. It just kept going.
That's crazy.
It was pretty ticked off.
Huh.
So we backed out, and we got about halfway out into the lake when it finally stopped.
Wow.
And so we're just kind of sitting there, kind of floating around saying, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
So we just kind of blew it off and started paddling back. And then when we got around the corner, we just kind of looked back at each other, and we're camping on the same side about a quarter mile from where this just happened. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So it was a very sleepless night. Let's put it that way.
Oh, man.
Yeah, there was no going to the parking lot. There was, get in a car and go home.
Yeah, no.
You were there.
No, something like that big, man. Yeah, I'd be crapping myself, man. I'd be like, what the hell is that thing?
Oh, and it was crazy because it went on for almost 15 minutes. And I mean,
that's a long time too.
And it shook them trees like it was like they were nothing.
The trees and the yelling and roaring didn't stop for at least 10 to 15 minutes. Did not stop.
It just blows my mind. Something that big that could just move those trees like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Well, at the time, when we backed out and we were kind of listening to this thing freak out, the trees are shaking. There's limbs breaking. There's stuff coming into the woods. There's stuff coming from the woods out into the water and landing.
But I mean, those trees were shaking like they were in a tornado.
Yeah. Were you getting hit by rocks?
I couldn't tell you if it was rocks, but there was stuff that was
coming
from there,
sticks.
and it was trees, logs, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it all kind of stayed within that beaver pond area. It never actually came out and hit us. So, I mean, it did get aggressive enough to where when we paddled back, that the roaring, you could feel the roaring, and every time it moved, or every time it got louder or quieter, you could feel the tone difference in your chest. I could feel it.
Wow.
So it was definitely sounding like it was aggravated. That's why we moved out. Never showed itself.
No.
When we were actually out there wondering what the hell it was, we were thinking a bear and a couple of mountain lions got into it or something. We had no idea.
Yeah.
But nothing that I know of
nothing visual
that's throwing
that we
stuff
saw
back out
or shaking trees.
Right.
And we did think of bears, but
but that wasn't it.
There was just nothing there.
Did you see any eye shadows or anything like that? Or
nothing. Well, all we want to do is get the hell out of there.
Yeah, I don't blame you, man.
We didn't see anything as we were backing out of it.
Yeah.
But it's so thick that you're in a canoe down here, and that thing is back here. You just can't see it. You're down too low.
Yeah.
Plus, it's September. We're going in for dinner. It's 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. The woods up there, the boreal forest, it's already dark. So you really can't even see into the woods.
Yeah.
You can fish, and you can get back and forth, but you can't really go into the woods without a headlamp.
No.
At that
Yeah,
point, you're
it's
wearing a
crazy.
headlamp. So it's really thick up there. But
Wow.
having said that, that was, our initial.
And we really didn't even know what it was until
Yeah.
we started looking into it and
Yeah.
talking to other people. And then we says, hey, what the hell happened? What we had happen to us on that trip, these people are already talking about. So maybe.
Yeah.
So then we just kind of put it all together. We actually went back the following year. And we went in, and that's how we know how big the trees were and how far apart they were.
Yeah.
And at the
6 to 8
time, we
and 8
didn't
to
have
10.
cell phones, so we didn't have pictures.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Unfortunately.
that sucks.
But we actually went back and to measure it out, they were about 8 to 9 feet apart, and they were 6 to 8 inches in diameter. They were huge.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Man, that's bigger than my feet. And I got big feet. That's why they call me an animal. No, not really, but
Yeah. So that was the
that's what
an
really got us
experience
going.
that put us over the top, and even that we were kind of put off as a bear and a mountain lion. It was the throwing and the loud nonstop roaring that took place.
Yeah,
Bears don't do that.
no.
they have to stop
They
eventually.
don't. They don't do that. They run away. They don't.
They don't stick around and
They don't typically do that. That's
But-
not a.
Monday morning quarterbacking it, thinking about it after a while, we turned around and said, we were catching all those fish and they were watching us, guaranteed. And they were saying, okay, as long as they stay out here and catch fish, we don't care. It's when we went into that cove and Tim threw it up and over the dam and he caught that fish.
Wow.
We believe that they were up there fishing in it. They were trying to corral the fish with those big old mitts that they got.
Yeah, they could just
And
catch
when
it
he
like
caught
it's
the fish,
nothing.
They says, "Oh no way! You get out of here! You got that whole lake."
Yeah. And they just started going off. So get the hell out of there.
You're in my area. Get out.
Because
crazy.
this stream was narrow in the end.
Yeah.
We're below the stream. This thing is now 4 feet deep. The beaver dam itself.
Yeah.
And it's bow shaped, and then the stream tapers back to probably 4 or 5 feet wide, maybe. So two of these critters potentially
with those big old mitts.
Yeah, with those
Yeah.
big old mitts
That
there.
thing's like a fishing net.
I can see them going up the creek or pushing them into that area and fishing it.
Yep.
Maybe
And all they're going to do is throw them out.
Maybe they just walk down that creek a mile and a half pushing fish all the way into that spot.
Yeah.
And they corralled it like an Indian fish trap.
Yeah.
They pushed those
Jeez.
fish all the way through. Now they're in the fish trap, and these wingnuts show up fishing, and they're ticked, and it was crickets up until the point we heard it.
It really was.
As soon as that thing came out, man, it was like, whoa! It happened, and like that, it
was
happened.
crazy.
Yeah,
It's something
Man.
that it's so hard to describe. You can't even. People would ask us, and I would say it's like putting all the animals in a zoo together and still not coming up with the same noise. It was just so odd.
It's impossible.
It really is.
It's nothing I've heard.
It's
before.
something that if you ever hear something, you'll never forget it.
Especially the behavior. Like, if you look at the bear's behavior, they would not act like that for sure, because a
They
bear
would have
would
done
just,
it and left.
yeah, they would have been they're more skittish.
There's the kind of different vocalizations you hear on the internet. That wasn't the case here. This was, I believe, two pissed off creatures, and they were different octaves and different tones at different portions of the time. So nothing made sense. Like one continuous "Whoa," where the other one was like, "Oh," whatever the hell it was doing, like samurai chatter, but on speaker loud. It was just nuts. It was just nuts.
They were mad. There was no doubt about it.
Oh man, I would
And
not
like
want
you
to piss
said, they
them off.
probably just pushed them half a mile,
Gosh, man.
In other words, why were we there?
Yeah,
we were fishing. Why were they there?
Fishing.
Probably fishing. At the
And you were in
same
their territory, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was around 5, 6 o'clock, so it's dinner time.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a hell of a trip, I'll tell you.
Man, I would love
That's what
to
got us
experience
started into it. Yeah.
that. That's awesome, man. Yeah, just the experience from kids on, man. I couldn't imagine to be able to experience something that amazing, and it just blows my mind. Just to be able to experience that, especially young, and they're like, "Oh, you're kids and stuff. You know what you're talking about, you know, and it's just wild. It just blows my mind." But that's really
true.
cool. I love that. That's really awesome. Well, tell me a little bit more about you guys, about like what you guys got going on today. Now that you guys are where you are now, and what you guys going on, projects or things. If you've seen any Bigfoot prints lately, or any good adventures that you're doing right now.
Well, now that you mention it,
That's a whole bunch of stuff. Yes, and yes.
yes.
And yes,
The thing is a yes on that list.
let's do a lot of yes.
We were just out in October Mountain State Forest a month or so ago, and
We are Richie and Wojo with us, boots on the ground.
we were out there just hiking around looking
Yeah.
for tracks around Felton Pond.
Yeah, we wanted to bring them out to where we go.
Right.
Because when it all came down to, they were talking about structures, tree structures.
Banter said, "Show it."
They have a bunch of them. So, and we were telling them that when you come out here, it's entirely different. So they came out and they saw the difference between our woods and their woods.
Yeah.
And they can understand why we have a hard time with stick structures. Because, what's the difference between that one there and this one here?
Mm-hmm.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
We get a lot of blowdowns, a lot of storms, a lot of
They
micro.
have to be pretty impressive.
It would have to be really, really
Not
impressive.
downing them, just saying
No.
you got to be impressive. That's all.
So they came out and saw that.
And I'm not easy to impress.
So they came out and they wanted to see it. So we came out. We went over to where we had an encounter.
Yeah.
And, us and 15 other people. So we took them down and we're walking through. We're walking along the shoreline because it was actually low for the first time that I've seen it.
Yeah.
We're just walking by and you see a lot of prints. You see the small prints, so people were fishing and whatnot. And Wojo and I are down along the lake part, and we're walking across, and he calls me over to look at some prints, and I said, "Oh wow!" I said, "That's pretty cool." And I said, "Yeah, I could this, that, and the other thing." And we walked a little further forward, and there was a log there, and on the other side of the log, we casted a print.
Yeah.
It was 17 inches by 7 by 5. And right now it's being looked at, and it is a potential print. We're just waiting for the investigation to go a little bit further.
Banter said something about 100-foot canopy trees on the side of the mountain, especially totally different.
That's what he's talking about. The forest compared to what they have. Then I went out to theirs, and in our canopy, when you look up, you don't see daylight. You see canopy.
Yeah.
That when you go to where Richie and Wojo are, you look up and you see daylight.
Yeah.
Well, their trees are shorter than ours, so it's entirely different. And they do have questionable tree structures or stick structures out there.
Yeah.
They really do. There are some things that I looked at and I said, okay, it could be this, could be that, and then there's others that it puts it up for question. Which is a good thing. That's what we're here for, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're here for, to find the evidence, no matter where it leads us. That's what we're looking for.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But we also, besides that part of it, we have our website is Cabo Mountain Critter Project.
Okay.
And that is if you go there, you will see our events. You'll see what we're doing, and you'll also see the Cabo Mountain Critter Festival.
Oh wow!
We're having a festival.
Yep.
Next year, June 7th, and it's going to be a good fest. It's going to be a good one because we don't have them around here, around our areas. So we're hoping that after the word gets out there, it's going to
Yeah.
going to it. It's going to expand. It's going to get a lot bigger than what we're hoping it does expand and get. Really
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. But
Yeah,
everything is on that website.
That's awesome. Awesome, man. Yeah, the festival, yeah, it should be a good one. If anybody follows the Vogel Brothers, please go on their website and check them out. And they have a lot of good stuff on there, a lot of good content, and maybe we'll see you at the festival. And I will definitely be there, so you don't want to miss the animal there. That's for sure. And maybe Wojo and Banter. Who knows?
Oh yeah, they're legend level sponsors already.
Yes, they are.
Legend level sponsors.
And who knows? Maybe we might find a Bigfoot together.
We will go out and do that for sure.
So have you guys had any terrifying moments like lately, like going out Bigfooting? Maybe something that just creeped you out or anything like that?
There was one time up at the Sanderson Brook Falls. We were doing an expedition. A number of people were with us. In fact, there was 5 with us at this one particular incident. And it's a strange one because it's a thing that involves infrasound, which is kind of a weird thing in Bigfooting. But I didn't even know what the hell it was until I experienced it. And that's the only thing I can come up with that this was. And there was 5 of us sitting around. It was in the middle of the night. And we're sitting on a fire road, basically. My ass is on the ground, my elbows sitting back, and my feet are out I'm kicked back, laying out, and we're talking squats, right? We're talking Bigfoot, and there's a half a dozen of us sitting around. And next thing you know, it sounds like there's a rock boulder, not just a rock, but a boulder coming down the mountain. Now, having said that, the mountain we're on in Sanderson Brook Falls, it's a cliff down to the waterfall.
Yeah.
Up to the fire road, then it's just a little fire road, and then it's a cliff that goes up.
Yeah, it's just a road built in the side of the mountain.
Yeah,
Wow.
So this is steep. This is not something you're hiking around down out there. No.
Nothing that like a normal Bigfoot would do.
Well, I'm not beyond that. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Or a
middle of the night.
skinwalker. Maybe a skinwalker. I don't know.
Hey, I don't know. You never know.
Maybe Wojo. It might be Wojo. Wojo could do it. He's a
There you go. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that Wojo would do that.
Yeah, it was probably him that
Trying to freak us out.
weird funny hat he had the other night.
Yeah, right.
So anyways, here we are. We're sitting in the middle of the road, and all of a sudden this giant rock starts falling down the mountain. Now you can hear it coming down the hill. You can absolutely hear everything. The noise, the crunching, the vibration, the whole thing. And all of a sudden I'm seeing this, or rather I'm hearing and listening to this. So I'm trying to get up to get out of the way so I can get out and of this oncoming boulder coming down the mountain.
Yeah.
When I stood up, it was gone. It just stopped. The sound stopped.
There wasn't a boulder.
I don't know that
There
yet.
wasn't.
I have no idea. All I know is at that point, in the middle of the night, the sound stopped.
It did.
Yeah.
It just stopped.
Poof, done. So we kind of blew it off. Figured
Yeah.
maybe it rolled down and a tree caught it or something like that. It blew it off. A few minutes later, we're sitting there, and now Eric's got his back against the cliff towards the waterfall, and it's literally just a cliff.
That's all it is.
And there's some maybe grass that was on the edge of it, but there's no rocks, there's no trees, there's nothing. Straight grass all the way down to the cliff. It's a good 150 feet, 200 feet to the cliff.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, it sounds like a giant thud that shook the ground, lands right behind him.
Yeah.
And it again got us all up on our feet, stood up. What the hell was that? And then we realized it was behind Eric. So we go behind Eric, and there's nothing there.
Nothing.
There's no dent in the ground. There's no tree. There's no log.
The
There's no
leaves
rock.
weren't moved. Nothing. It was
Nothing.
crazy.
Nothing. But this thing whacked the
Oh, yeah.
ground, and it shook the ground, and
Yeah.
all 5 of us got up and moved because of it.
It was
Something happened physical that made us get up and move, and there was absolutely zero evidence of something hitting that ground.
And we couldn't find the rock.
And there was, if a
Wow.
rock hit it with that kind of
we didn't find a rock that came down there. We didn't find anything that hit the side of the cliff. It was crazy.
We went back the next day and looked to see if the grass was disturbed. Any sign of anything. There was zero.
It was like nothing.
Grass wasn't bent. Nothing.
Wow.
This
Could have
thing
been something paranormal or something like that, or
I don't know. This is why I say it's
We don't know.
infrasound, because I only know a little bit about it. I could be calling it something else.
Right.
But all I could tell you is it was sound, and it sounded like something physical hit that ground, but there was zero evidence.
There was zero evidence.
Yeah.
There was absolutely nothing. Nothing was disturbed. It was crazy.
The following day, my wife and I get escorted out of the wood. We went up the following day. I was showing her where we were, and up on the upper portion of the cliff, you could hear the rocks coming down, like something was walking and moving. You could hear things rolling. Because it's steep, and you could hear things twisting and breaking and things like that.
Yeah, like whatever was walking was grabbing trees, because it's on such an incline that you're not just going to walk it. You're going to grab trees as you're walking, right?
Yeah.
So we got out of there, and then I went back with Eric, and we went up into the woods to where I thought it would be, and we found a tree that was completely twisted.
A complete twist
and a half, completely twisted, fresh wood. So we took that home.
Yeah, we
I
actually
mounted
cut it
that.
down and mounted it.
I don't save much for stuff like that, but that for me, for wood structures or something.
That's a complete twist.
I'm witnessing it. I'm listening to it. I just had this infrasound the other night, and this thing is escorting my wife and I out of Sanderson Brook Falls.
Yeah, that was
So I
pretty
took
wild.
it. Sometimes if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a duck.
It's a duck.
So, I mean, I don't know what else it was. And for lack of better things, I'm a ranger. We own venture education business for 20-something years. We live in the woods.
Oh, yeah, guides. We were guides for New York for 10+ years.
Wow.
I'm ranging the property right now in the middle of 1,300 acres. My
Dang.
mailbox is a half mile from the road.
Huh.
So we're in the woods. And I've never seen half.
Hell, while we're talking to you, we're squatching at the same time.
Oh, wow. Did you have anything happening right now?
Not yet, but if it does, we will turn you around. We'll show you.
I like to see my buddy out there,
We've had
squatch.
wood knocks right here. We've had to go out, get the grill going, do some wood knocks, get returned wood knocks. We've had whoops, whistles. We've had a number of expeditions right here in camp. Class A sightings.
I had a whistle. I had a husband and wife with me during an expedition, and it was like 2 a.m. and it sounded like it was only 20 feet in front of us, but it was a very distinct, high-pitched whistle. It was like I couldn't even make that sound, but it was so high-pitched, and it only lasted a few seconds. And when I turned the flashlight on, there was nothing in front of us.
Yeah.
Right. It was like, where did that? And I looked for birds. I looked for the owls. I looked for eye shine. Nothing.
Yeah.
Well,
just said rocks were thrown at you.
Well, in the same area,
we did.
A year later, we had the hunter come in with his son, and he had a potential Bigfoot that was mimicking. This is the short version, mimicking an owl. And he called so the father called the son, say, "Hey, are you doing that?" And he said, "No, I thought you were doing it." And the reason why it was a different kind of an owl interpretation was because he said it sounded like Barry White. It was a super deep.
Yeah.
Who cooks for who kind of an owl sound, and it was a very deep, which isn't a typical tone, and so that's why he thought maybe his kid was calling him. It was kind of without yelling, "Hey, Dad, I'm over here." He gave this weird sound, so he would pick up on that, but in fact he didn't, and so they decide they're going to leave the mountain and get down to their four-wheeler, and on the way down they get a huge whistle and a knock, and the dad thought he had seen something run across part of the swamp, but at this point he's afraid. He wants to get his kid and get the heck out of there, and this is just a half mile from my house up in the woods.
Yeah.
So now I get a phone call from the chief of police. and it's
True.
right. So I get a phone call from the chief. He said, "Tim, you got to check this guy out." He says, "This is right up your alley." So he gives me all the information. I call the guy. We meet right here, and sure enough, we get out there, and I find we scoured the entire place, and I come up with one track. Well, 2 or 3 potential, but one that was definitely a track, and it was right in this really thick. It's called sphagnum moss. Really thick green moss. You could pick chunks of this up and pour it in your water bottle. It's that saturated. But my point is, this thing was such a big track. It was your average 15 to 17 inch track. I didn't have a tape measure, but it was larger than my boot, and it was typical of what I've been seeing in the past. And so it was between 15 and 17 inches. And it was squished so deep in the moss that when the foot was relieved and the pressure was taken off, there was still an impression that was still substantial.
Wow.
And it was, it was just one of those. We never got to cast it. I do have photographs, but having said that, when in doubt, cast it.
Yep.
Tommy M's, that's him. So, anyways. When in doubt, cast it, because you just never know what you're going to get.
A lot of times the cast will pick up things that you just don't see with the naked eye.
Yeah, especially stuff that will stick to it and stuff like that. And the one thing that
so we have plenty that have that habit.
Where I was going with that was he believes that this Bigfoot was mimicking the owl, which the night Eric heard those whistles, we also had activity up in a swamp in a tree that was beating the top of a tree. I didn't have a light that was shining out that far, and it was too far into the swamp, and I was with 3 women that didn't want to go into the swamp.
Yeah.
They just didn't want anything to do with it. They could hear it, and that was enough. And that was overwhelming, actually, for 2 of them. And
it was a pretty wild, active night.
So we believe, and Bobo was here that night. So that was when Bobo was doing his Bigfoot adventures back in 2019, I think.
Oh, Bobo.
Yeah, he was here.
Yeah, he was here with us,
and he was running one of his programs out of the camp right here.
Yeah,
that was that night, and
wow.
I believe we also had a trailer slapped that night. Somebody came in from upstate New York, and they had the trailer slapped. So there was a lot of activity that weekend, actually. And so it turned out to be a fairly decent, active weekend. But there was mimicking going on.
Right.
And that's, I guess, that whole long story. There was mimicking. So we believe that the mimicking is also going on with these random bird chirps or whistles. And they don't sound like your typical, I'm not a total wingnut. I understand bird chirps and whistles. I get it. Yeah. Fox calls. We've been the gauntlet.
Oh yeah.
This wasn't that typical thing. If it was, I wouldn't even talk about it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't even consider putting it out there. But this is beyond the norm, so I can talk about it because I can talk about it. I don't have to prove it. I know what the hell I heard.
Yeah.
So that's all that matters now.
That's awesome.
Now it's a matter of proving it or getting a better shot or a vision of this thing. That's what we really want.
Wow. One thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is coyotes, because I know coyotes is a big thing with Bigfoot. That when there's a lot of coyotes around or screaming and stuff, usually they say there's a Bigfoot around. You guys ever have those experiences with coyotes?
Yeah, we sure have.
Actually, I'll let Eric tell you that one, but it's a really coyotes. There's some talk in the Bigfoot world or in the nature world that there's a symbiotic relationship. The coyotes come in, they get a kill. They make a lot of noise when they get successful and they have a kill. So that's a cue, a trigger for a bear or a Bigfoot. Now they know that the coyotes got something, so they just boogie on over, and it's like drive-through. They kick them out, take their stuff, and they go back and eat remnants, just like a big bear would do. So there is that. So there's the potential. If it can happen in the animal world, it can absolutely happen with Bigfoot. Yeah. One thing you'll find that we don't do is humanize Bigfoot and its behaviors. An elk and a bear can sit their butt out in a winter storm and 40 below zero and take it and not have to build a shelter. They just stick their ass in the wind and they take it. They wake up with snow on them and they shake it off.
Yep.
They don't go around doing a lot of things that people say they do.
Yeah.
And that's just my 10 cents. I'm just saying other critters do this, so it's potentially possible for a Bigfoot to do it. I just simply don't think that I don't humanize a Bigfoot in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But, it's a creature, it's an animal. Now, is it, there's some woo factor stuff. There's that
We
end
have
of it
woo
too.
factor, yes.
But, there's that too. But right now it's, we have foot tracks and that tells me it's flesh and blood. There's other things that happen with orbs and things, but, Sean Kelly the other night, we were on his show and we were talking about why there's only a few tracks left. And, we had mentioned a couple of various reasons why there might only be. But he had a caller a couple nights after that.
Yeah.
He was recapping, and she had mentioned, I think it was a female woman talking about, well, maybe they were just hauling ass so fast that they don't leave a track as impressionable, or they're running on the ball of their foot and it's just leaving a quick, you know what I mean? So there's
I've actually heard, we've heard that they're moving so fast that it looks like they're floating across the ground.
Exactly a number of
So they're
reports.
not touching the ground; they're just moving across it, over the top of it.
Yeah, lady in Vermont said she had a
Many reports like
a juvenile. It looked like a cousinette, long black hair, and it looked like it was floating across the road in front of them. So,
Wow.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That's really crazy.
so anyways, the coyotes, yes, there's a symbiotic relationship potentially. But in Connecticut, we were doing a back when we had our Adventure Ed business, Tacoma Mountain Outdoors. We were with a school. I'm not going to name places or schools, but we were with a school in Northwest Connecticut, and this school happened to be a Catholic school. Bill, you know who you are, and so
That's right.
So he's
And I'm
probably
sure
not
he's
listening.
watching.
No, I doubt it.
he
So-
is now.
So anyway, there's this group that we do a ropes course with. There's 30 or 40 people in this group. It's a large school group, 10th graders, 12th graders.
Yeah.
And we're up there doing high rope stuff in the woods with harnesses and belaying and stuff. So it's one of those kinds of programs. So they show up. We do they go up and they do a Bible study at the top of the mountain. And there's an hour or so to get to the mountain. They do their piece at the top, and then they come back down. And Eric and I, at this point, are preparing a dinner on the grill. We got hamburgers, hot dogs, stuff like that, or steaks or something like that. Maybe not steaks, hamburgers, hot dogs, things.
That and chicken.
Yeah, stuff, So we got grill food going. And
Actually on charcoal, believe it or not.
yeah, it was actually pretty good. So anyways, this is a private property. It's a private
Yes.
school.
It's a private mountain.
Oh,
Yeah, this
There-
mountain is within private property,
Yeah,
and
there's
there's
nothing
not thousands of acres. There's thousands of acres that abut it. That is
Right.
like Appalachian Trail or this trail or
Or it's privately owned by
Yeah.
somebody else.
yeah. So without giving too much away, that it's out there, and there was nobody messing with us.
Like you were saying, they go to the top and they do whatever it is that they do. But there's a they call it the chimney. It used to be an old house, and that's all that's left. It was burnt down. So that's where they go.
yeah.
So when they got there, they could see what was up there. Nothing. There's just nothing up there. But
There's no roads, there's no
Yeah,
paths except for the one they take.
absolutely. So then they come back down, and we've like he was saying, we've got dinner going, and I'm standing at the stove and I'm making a coffee, and the pastor's standing on my left, Tim's on my right, and out of nowhere, from the top of the mountain, you hear this.
Siren.
It was a siren. It was like they flipped the switch. It went off, and it went for a good
4 or 5 seconds.
at
It was
least-
just a simple.
at least 5-6 seconds.
It was loud
Wow.
siren on a cop car.
And it went on and went off. But there's nothing up there. There's not even a volunteer fire department.
No, dude, there was
horn up
nothing
there.
up
There's
there.
nothing up there.
Bullshit. There was
There's
nothing up there.
nothing. And,
Wow.
and the pastor turns around. he looks at me and his eyes are like $half, and I said, "Yep." And I looked over at Tim, and he goes, "Yep, Bigfoot." and the pastor just looks and goes, "What?" He goes, "Well, just think, it came over on the ark."
Wow.
So he was like, "Wow, I can't believe this." And the following day, when we finished the road, that night,
Coyotes. That's where
the coyotes started. You could hear the coyotes, and normally they're on the other. They're like on the other side of this little pond or stream or whatever it is, swamp. This time they were on our side, but they were up on the mountain where this noise came from, and they were going nuts. So we pack it in and we're going in. I'm laying in my hammock because I'm in a hammock, and Tim's in a tent, and all of a sudden you can hear them coming down the mountain. You hear the owls and you hear the coyotes going off.
Wow.
You can hear the coyotes coming, and it's getting louder and louder, and you can hear them hitting the ground. And I yelled over at Tim. I said, "Oh man, I pray I'm high enough. I hope I'm off the ground high enough."
Yeah.
And these things are running, and they're coming right at me. I can hear them. I know they're coming at me. And I says, "Oh, here they come." And this coyote went right underneath my hammock, and I've got an underquilt, and you could feel the underquilt move as he went underneath me. That's how close that was.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it. And there had to be about 10 of them. And they just came right by us, right through.
But the owls and the coyotes that night,
it wasn't normal, especially for that area. We've never had that happen to us now.
Yeah.
But it all started after that siren sound. So
that's crazy, man.
The next day, we turned around, we finished the high ropes course. They all left, and we went over, we started packing up our stuff. And there's this 60 to 80 foot tree laying there, full leaf tree. It just fell over because of a storm. And we heard something walk by. There was like this little ledge, and walked over there. And we thought it was a deer, but we didn't see anything. So I'm packing up my hammock, and all of a sudden you can hear this thing coming through this full blown tree, leaves, sticks, everything. You hear this thing coming through, going whack, 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 whack. And it hits the ground about 20 feet in front of us. And it was a rock about the size of a candle pin ball.
Wow.
And there's nothing out there. There's nobody out there. It's just us. So where the hell did the rock come from?
Yeah.
And it went 80 feet through these trees. It was a full canopy tree just laying there, and it went right through it.
Damn.
And we just turned around. We just packed up and said, "Yep, we're out of here. Sorry."
Man, I would have been shitting myself.
That we've had so far.
That's awesome, man. Well,
we probably could have hit us if we wanted to.
Man,
I believe that they can hunt that way.
Yeah.
I think their accuracy is probably one of their best assets. I think that they could use their accuracy to kill a deer, kill something else, without a doubt. And they just threw that to scare us, and it did. We packed up and moved out.
I would too. I'd be right out there.
Now I would go back and say, "Hey, let's go look for some evidence." But when that happened, it was time to go.
Yeah,
that was a big rock.
But actually, before we go, I actually got a couple surprises for you guys.
Oh.
A couple of surprises here. Let me actually put them up here real quick.
Oh!
I had to do it.
There he is.
Damn balls!
Two crazy guys right
I had to create the chaos before we leave the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Can I talk to you real quick about Bigfoot and his accuracy? One of the things I dealt with in the infancy of my experiences was I was getting hit with stuff from the woods. And I talk about a story about how an acorn would hit me in the toes, and I think nothing of it, right? It's an acorn. Right. Except I looked up, I have nothing but pine trees. You know what I mean? I'm like, where the hell did an acorn come from? You know what I mean? So, like, that stuff started getting, kind of, staying in my mind, right? I go in the house, I think later, I'd be like, oh my God, how did an acorn hit me? I was under pine trees. And at one time, an acorn falls. I look down, I'm up, like this, look at the pine trees again. I put my head down like this, boom, right between that, right in that forehead. Swear to God. And that was it for me. I went inside. I was like, I was out of there, and I still to this day go like I was like, well, now I know more about it. But I was like, how the hell? And then I start thinking of the hands and the fingers and how big they are. How the hell does that happen?
Exactly.
How does it happen? And that was 100% on purpose. And I couldn't see him, and it must have been from like 3,000 yards away. And like it was just absolutely nuts. And one of the things that I could never get out of my head, I could still feel that thing hitting me. Anyways, hello, Vogel Brothers. We love you guys. You guys absolutely rock. Great show. Just awesome to watch, right, Wojo?
Oh, absolutely. These guys like really bring it, and I'll tell you, these guys do bring it. But going back to what the whistles and everything else. What's that?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's a Wojo thing. So anyway, the sounds and everything that you hear, is it almost like borderline like infrasound? Like it's just like the whistles, like there's such a high pitch that you can hear like dogs like start yelping and crazy because I'm sure it must hurt their ears. What do you think?
What we heard was, you could hear the sounds. The infrasound that we heard was
that's
sound
entirely different.
It was sound that was imitating like a rock falling down a mountain. Literally got me off my ass and got me moving. Got 5 people up and got us moving because there was something coming down the mountain.
Right.
There was nothing there.
And the one that hit behind me. And it should have absolutely made a dent, messed the grass up, or done something.
That's crazy.
The incline was just too much.
So the infrasound, I believe, has the ability to be very, very present, but doesn't leave a physical mark.
Right.
We scoured that hillside looking for that thing that was coming down the hill. It was obvious there was something coming, and nothing.
Absolutely.
So
guys, great show. Josh, hey Josh.
Hey, brother.
And 2 Joshes, biggest.
There you go.
Well, Vogel Brothers, tell everybody on the show that where they could find you and.
All right. So you're going to go to the Vogel Brothers Facebook page, and there's a whole bunch of information there. You can go to the Cobble Mountain Critter Project.wordpress, and you'll find us there, Cobble Mountain Critter Project. And you'll go to the events, and you'll find all the events that we're doing.
Ooh, okay.
And we are on Instagram.
Yeah, he is. I don't know what the hell
Whenever
that
I
is.
can get it, but yeah.
So the events page will give you a list of what we're doing. It doesn't give you a list of the dates that we go out researching. A lot of our researching is local. We don't have to go far. So we don't.
What about the 18th?
18th, we're up October Mountain State Forest. That's just kind of a big get together for it. Wasn't that cute? It's a hugger.
No.
When you guys go in the woods, you guys bring like one sleeping bag, or I mean, like really?
What happens at the camp stays at the camp.
Well, we all know though. At least these guys know how to make a fire, unlike some people.
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah, no, we got a bunch of stuff going on. If you're a vendor, we're looking for vendors for next year, June 7th, 2025.
I'll be there.
Paranormal, UFO, and anything weird kind of that we're going to be bringing on. And we're looking for vendors that as well. Right now, we got 2 people that are on there. That's
2 of our podcasters,
So-
3 of them actually.
You guys are all
We'll be
here,
here.
which is
We'll
awesome.
be there. Hey, let me say
Yeah.
something about this. Rob, sorry to interrupt you. Their location is so unique. You will never see another event like it in this location. I promise you this. It's mind blowing. You're gonna love it if you just come up and walk around. You're gonna be like, "What the hell? Where am I?" Go ahead. Sorry. And Tim loves hugs.
Yeah, you're on excellent. Yeah, you're on 1,300 acres of private property. It's
Oh,
it's a
my
private
God.
camp, and it abuts the Cobble Mountain Reservoir, which abuts this state forest
Really?
and that state forest and this state forest.
With
Speaking of
many
abuts.
activities, orbs, Bigfoot, all kinds of things.
There's a
Paranormal.
cemetery.
Yes,
Civil
it's
War
all
thing,
been
bro.
up here.
We'll have to stick banter in the Haunted Mansion or something like that. And,
I think I think that boy needs a diaper change.
If you're looking as a vendor and you want to come out and you of any of that stuff, contact Eric. Go to the website, Cobble Mountain Critter Project. WordPress.
It's good. Great project, man.
And you'll find it, and you just get his email, and you'll get these spaces.
Or if it's easier, you can reach out to myself, and I'll make sure that we pass it along to you guys 100%. You know that. So
it's a team.
Yeah,
it's a team. It's all about teamwork, man.
Yep.
We're a family.
Super pumped to be a part
I
of it.
have a hard time doing that.
Well, Vogel Brothers, thank you so much, guys. It was an honor to have you guys on my show. I'll have you again because just I had more questions to ask, but we ran out of time. But there's a lot more talk here in the future on the show because a lot more. It was awesome.
Your way,
Had a lot of fun.
Your way,
You had a great time. Thanks for having it. Thanks for inviting us out.
Oh, anytime, man. Well, thank you, everybody, for watching the Animal Podcast Show. Thank you guys for showing up. Wojo Banter and the
Wojo, Richie, little
Thank you, guys.
guys. And
be safe, brothers.
We'll see you next
And for the
Saturday.
animal, turn up the music. Yeah. Oh, let's go.